Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. This supplement is being prepared as part of a presentation on how you can recover your eyesight after you develop short-sightedness. To be clear, I'm referring to the condition which in medical language is termed myopia. Before I, inshallah, proceed to the core presentation in which I will introduce the therapy for myopia, I'd like to give a preface in the form of this supplement. In summary, the main culprit behind why the common man's eyesight almost never recovers from myopia is the damage caused to the functioning and eventually to the anatomy of the eye from wearing the minus powered lenses that the optometrist prescribes after you fail a test for adequate vision. In plain language, brothers and sisters, wearing glasses is why your eyesight keeps getting weaker. Before I proceed to discuss the scientific underpinnings of what I'm sharing today, let me give you the central takeaway of this supplement right now. You should only ever wear minus powered lenses when you are engaged in an activity that is either unsafe or impossible altogether to perform with less than 20 by 20 vision. Practically speaking, if your prescription is very weak, such as minus 0.75 diopters or less, you should take your spectacles off and only wear them when the ensuing blurred vision is a veritable safety hazard. The cardinal example is when you're driving at night. On the other hand, if your prescription is strong, such as minus 2 diopters or worse, and you can't even recognize faces in broad daylight without your spectacles, that is, you'll have to settle for a compromise. You should take your old minus powered lenses that you were prescribed when your eyesight wasn't as bad and which had a weaker power, and you should try to subsist on the old ones for as much as you can. Now I'll proceed to discuss the science of myopia. I'll try to make it short and sweet because this is only fascinating for a person who is consumed with the desire to live life without spectacles once again. I myself, having attained that goal many years ago, would rather not revisit my forays into ophthalmology today. I read the fundamentals of how myopia develops in early 2009, and the following is what I remember. When you view an object that is far off in the distance, it projects an image onto a screen on the back of your eye, and all the while your eyeball stays relaxed. The latter condition does not hold if you do what's called near work, which is to say that you focus on an object within very loosely speaking, 1 meter or so. In this case, the eyeball does not stay relaxed. If I'm remembering correctly, it will flex just as a muscle flexes during exertion. Now, you can probably guess what happens when a muscle is made to flex for many hours at a stretch without a break. It will cramp. And in its initial stages, that's what myopia is. If you do near work, such as reading, for extended periods, without reprieve, the eyeball will begin to cramp. In this state, when you attempt to focus on a far-off object once more, the cramped eyeball will attempt to relax, but it will be unable to re-establish equilibrium. And consequently, distant objects will appear blurred. At this stage, there are no structural changes in the eyeball. Ophthalmologists call this pseudomyopia. If you give your eyeball sufficient rest with pseudomyopia, the cramp will resolve spontaneously, and you will once again be able to see long distance without experiencing blur. However, if you keep doing near work for long hours, even after you've developed pseudomyopia, the eyeball will eventually begin to change anatomically. This is myopia proper. This is a disease state in which the eyeball actually grows in size, such as to outgrow its frame. Herein, the patient's visual apparatus has become damaged, and he is left anatomically incapable of seeing long distance without a blur. As the disease progresses, the eyeball keeps outgrowing its frame, and the farthest distance that the patient can still see objects without a blur, that farthest distance keeps diminishing. This is where your prescription lenses come in. What these do is to alter the projection of the image you're viewing such that even far off images are projected onto your eyeball as if they were actually much closer. This is what the number of your prescription lenses signifies. -1 diopters, for example, means that with these lenses, the image will be perceived as being closer, hence the minus, multiplied by a number, in this case 1, and a standard unit of distance, the diopter. Now consider what must happen when a person with a cramped eyeball starts wearing minus powered lenses all the time. Even when they're driving or looking across a hall, as far as their eyeball is concerned, they've got their nose in a book yet again. And if you wear minus power when you're already doing near work, you can probably infer the outcome. It is as bad as if you were looking at an object that is perhaps this far away. Before I conclude this note on scientific underpinnings, you should please note two terms. First, overcorrection. This means wearing minus powered lenses that actually give you better than 20 by 20 eyesight or vision. This is more technically accurate term. Many of you may have experienced the sense of having better eyesight or visual acuity, as it's termed clinically, when you first wear your prescription glasses than you ever had even before you became myopic, or when you wear them when you do near work. That is overcorrection. As far back as 2009, when I read a report published by the American Ophthalmological Association, they had admitted that overcorrection definitely increases the progression of myopia. Second, undercorrection. This means wearing minus powered lenses that leave you with a slight blur when looking at distant objects. Or de facto, not wearing your prescription lenses at all if your myopia is still at the earliest stages. In either case, it means accommodating a blur. That's it. That is it for the science. Now, before I can conclude, I should acknowledge that a complication still remains. If you search YouTube on whether wearing prescription glasses worsens myopia, you'll find that even today, there are decorated ophthalmologists in the first world who continue to defend the belief that wearing spectacles has no adverse effect on one's eyesight. There has even been a wave of publications in recent years challenging the old belief that undercorrection of myopia is a safe and reliable intervention in preventing myopia progression. I propose we delve into a historical puzzle. First, please take off your prescription glasses and take a look around you. Now, please consider this. Suppose I'm mistaken and the widespread use of prescription glasses today has nothing to do with the prevalence of myopia. Wouldn't that suggest that ceteris paribus, common people in historical times would have been afflicted with myopia no less frequently and no less severely than we are today? And imagine the extent of that crisis. People didn't even have electricity till the 19th century. And as I have come to understand, people couldn't afford prescription glasses. Poor people couldn't afford prescription glasses till the 20th century. Did poor people then in historical times try to function in the dark hours with their lanterns and candles, having vision just as bad as yours when you removed your spectacles? Why were they not routinely falling into ditches or down the stairs or just being left handicapped? In 15 years of reading historical novels, I have read of congenital blindness, of cataracts, and many related ocular diseases. But if I have ever read of short-sightedness crippling the common man in early life prior to the 20th century, brothers and sisters, I simply fail to remember. That's it for this supplement. In the core presentation, I will, inshallah, reveal the therapeutic procedure that cured my myopia 13 years ago without any drugs, surgery, or unnecessary expense. And let me tell you that this procedure involves nothing more than applying the very same principles discussed today. Inshallah.